Hello, I am Leigh Thomas, and this is prompt one for my master's portfolio. The standards that I chose for this prompt is math third grade, NR 41, and it is describing a unit fraction and explain how multiple copies of a unit fraction form a non-unit fraction. Use parts of a whole, parts of a set, points on a number line, distances on a number line, and area models. This standard is limited to fractions with 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8 denominators, and set sizes should not exceed 24. Now, I selected two reading standards. The first one is to ask and answer questions to demonstrate understanding of a text, referring explicitly to the text as the basis for the answers. The second one is to engage effectively in a range of collaborative discussions, one on one, in groups, and teacher led, with diverse partners on grade 3 topics and text, building on others' ideas and expressing their own clearly. Student goals and teacher background knowledge. Student learning goals are: I can partition shapes into equal parts. I can name and represent unit and non unit fractions. I can identify and describe the numerator. I can identify and describe the denominator. The teacher background knowledge. To effectively teach fractions, teachers should understand fractions as both parts of a whole and as numbers on a number line, including concepts like equivalence, comparison, and operations with fractions. Differentiation and PCK. Differentiated instruction is a teaching approach recognizing that students learn in different ways and at various paces. It involves tailoring the learning experience to meet the diverse needs, interests, and learning styles of all students in the classroom. PCK is the unique blend of subject matter expertise and understanding of how to effectively teach that content to young learners, encompassing strategies, representations, and knowledge of student learning processes. I've used varied teaching strategies to accommodate different learning styles, such as visual aids, hands-on experiments, group activities, project-based learning, which engages many students in real-world projects that require practical application of their knowledge, and continuous learning and collaboration with other educators, which enhances making learning more engaging and meaningful for students. Approach 1. I use the read aloud. The read aloud means to read a text aloud to students, often a storybook, but also other materials to foster engagement, comprehension, and love for reading, while modeling fluent and expressive reading. It is not just about hearing the words, it's about understanding what they mean. Teachers often use read alouds to help students connect with the material and become better listeners. Listening to someone who reads well can show students how to read smoothly and help them learn how to say new words, which is especially useful for students still learning English. Read alouds can boost important skills like understanding what you read, learning new words, and reading smoothly. When teachers read aloud, they show students how to read fluently. This lets students focus on understanding the text and learning new words instead of struggling to sound out the words. It also introduces them to language used outside of everyday conversation. The more kids are read to, the more they want to read on their own. To effectively monitor student learning and behavior during read aloud, I use a combination of observational strategies, targeted questions, and brief check ins to gauge comprehension and engagement. I also implement clear expectations and positive reinforcement for desired behaviors. The first piece of evidence is the book Fraction Action. This is the read aloud that will be read before initial instruction begins on fraction. The second piece of evidence is that students are actively engaged in the read aloud of Fraction Action. They are using appropriate behavior while the story is being read. Reading aloud also helps students build important skills like vocabulary, comprehension, and attention. When students hear new words in a story, they learn what they mean. Following along with the story helps them understand how stories work and make predictions. Paying attention to the reader's voice and the illustrations helps them focus and remember details. A study showed that kids who are read to a lot hear millions more words than those who aren't, which are significantly boost their vocabulary. When reading about fractions aloud, clarity and consistency are essential. While using over to express fractions such as 3 over 4 for 3 fourths is a common practice, instead using 3 fourths. Ultimately, the key to effective communication lies in using language that is easily understood by all students, ensuring that the focus remains on the mathematical concepts rather than the terminology. While the reading level is lower, the content is more suitable for at or above grade level learners, particularly those who are learning about or reinforcing their understanding of fractions. The book's format and engaging style make it a good choice for a read aloud, especially when I was looking for a way to introduce or reinforce fraction concepts in a fun and interactive way. Read Aloud support all areas of literacy development, exposing students to new words and grammar, increasing students' interest in reading and writing, and expanding skills like phonological awareness. They also strengthen students' syntactic development, vocabulary acquisition, fluency, comprehension, writing, emotional intelligence, teacher student relationship, engagement, and cultural awareness in the early grades. My second approach, which is direct instruction, it is a teaching approach where teachers clearly explain concepts, demonstrate procedures, and provide structured practice with feedback, aiming to improve student learning and retention. According to Mason and Otero, over the past half century, no other curriculum model has been more heavily researched than DI. Synthesis of most research say that by equipping teachers with DI curricular materials and emphasizing high fidelity of implementation, the effects of schools can be substantial. Direct instruction provides clear, structured, and systematic teaching to facilitate efficient and effective learning, ensuring all students can grasp concepts and skills through a combination of teacher led instruction and active student engagement. In a direct setting, monitoring student learning involves active observation, providing frequent feedback, and ensuring students are on task, while managing behavior includes establishing clear expectations, providing immediate corrections, and reinforcing positive behavior. The first piece of evidence is a teacher-made anchor chart for students to have as a reference slash resource for future use. The second piece of evidence is a journal entry. The students wrote this down during the direct instruction to have a reference resource at their desk. One of the biggest strengths of DI is that it breaks down lessons into smaller, easier to understand parts. This helps my students avoid feeling overwhelmed. Teachers can give clear instructions and examples, and students get lots of chances to practice with teachers' help. This way, teachers can give immediate feedback and fix any mistakes right away. DI also makes sure that students learn things in a logical order. Building on what they already know, DI is especially useful for students with learning disabilities. Many students with learning disabilities struggle with reading. Direct instruction is not perfect for everything. At times, it can limit creativity and critical thinking because it focuses on specific knowledge and skills. Since I am in charge, my students might not have as many chances to explore their interests or make their own choices about what to learn. Also, my students might become too dependent on me for information instead of learning how to find things out for themselves. I would need to use direct instruction for the basic or whole group instruction and then move to another approach. To differentiate instruction, direct instruction for above level learners, I modify content by focusing on abstract concepts, in depth study, and exposure to new ideas. I also related content to real people and taught students how to think and act like experts in different fields. I use models like the Maker model, which differentiates learning into content, process, product, and environment. Direct instruction is a way of teaching that is helpful, especially for students who are struggling. Instead of just letting students explore and figure things out on their own, direct instruction involves me actively guiding my students through the material. The goal is to make learning easier and faster by breaking down complex topics into smaller, more manageable steps. My final approach is collaborative learning. Collaborative learning approach is students working together on activities or learning tasks in a small group, and it's small enough to ensure that everyone participates. The students in the group may work on separate tasks, contributing to a common overall outcome, or work together on a shared task. Collaborative learning keeps students actively involved, working with others, and feel like they own their learning. They learn more deeply. Collaborative learning helps students develop important skills like thinking critically, speaking, managing themselves, and leading themselves. It also helps them get to know their teachers better, feel more confident, and take responsibility for their learning. Working with others exposes students to different viewpoints and prepares them for working with people in the real world. To make collaborative learning work well, it is important that I set clear expectations for my students from the beginning. I explain the rules for participating and contributing and plan out each step of the group work. It is also important that I explain how the group work will be graded. I will help my students succeed by teaching them teamwork skills and encouraging them to think about their learning. Another way that I use collaborative learning in class is a three-step process. First, introduce the task. This could be as simple as asking my students to talk to the person next to them about a topic. Second, I give the students time to work on a task. I walk around and answer any questions they have. Third, talk about what they learned as a class. I will ask a few students to share their conclusions, clear up any misunderstandings, and answer questions. The evidence of approach 3 shows collaborative learning with students planning, making, and delivering fraction cookies. Collaborative learning helps students develop important skills. They learn how to think more deeply, speak clearly, manage themselves, and even become a leader. Working with others also helps them understand different points of view and prepares them for real life situations that they will face at work and in social settings. It can also make them feel more confident and responsible. To make collaborative learning better for my students, some improvements are needed. Simply putting my students in groups is not enough. The activities need to be designed in a way that encourages everyone to participate and learn together. I will need to focus on creating dynamic and engaging activities that get students actively involved with the material and with each other. When students work together effectively, it can boost their academic performance, help them remember what they learn, and improve their social skills. To effectively use collaborative learning for above grade level learners, I will focus on challenging activities, diverse group dynamics, and opportunities for in depth exploration and leadership, while ensuring clear expectations and individual accountability. Collaborative learning can be a powerful tool for below grade level learners, offering opportunities for peer help, skill development, and improved engagement through group work and discussion.